Josiel says here, Brent, I would like to hear your thoughts about food and Kundalini awakening. If you have some recommendations, what to look for, what to avoid. Okay. Yeah. So, in my approach to quite literally every dimension of this path is a very passive, simple approach. Maybe you've gathered that from looking overall at my work. It's to just surrender and trust and allow the intelligence within to lead you. And rather than, engaging in anything super specific, just being very relaxed and allowing that intelligence of Shakti to communicate with you, to guide you. And it applies to food, it applies to practices, to meditations, to books that you might find, which book do I read, which food do I eat. It's the same process that we follow, which is we just tune in and listen. So when it comes to food, um, there's different schools of thought. Now, if you would really like a particular diet to follow, if this feels right for you, then you may want to consider the Sattvic diet, high vibratory foods. I believe it doesn't include meat, doesn't include onions, garlic. Those can have some energetic impacts on the body, which maybe aren't suitable for most people at times. Now, if you would like a particular way of eating, look up the Sattvic diet. You can follow those foods. Now, outside of that, what I've found is that the Kundalini will lead you to the right foods if you listen. So anything goes. Junk food at times is actually a tool. It's a useful tool for grounding. It's a useful tool to also perhaps just soothe the nervous system when there's a lot of intense emotions, right? Food can be comforting, can be soothing, it can be nurturing, right? And of course, if we take those processes to extremes, then the food can become obviously, something difficult and not good for our health. But at times, a treat, at times, just eating comfort food is useful, especially during this process when we're challenged by difficult emotions and whatnot coming up. Useful tools. The idea here is to use it all with mindfulness. So the Kundalini at times may say, go and drink a green smoothie. Other times it will say, go and just, snack on some cookies. If you tune in and you listen, at times meat as well can be very powerful for energetic grounding. To really feel like your feet are planted on the earth, meat can be helpful. I know there are many schools of thought when it comes to meat. What I found is I just looked around and I saw there are great spiritual masters, very enlightened people doing great work, and their diet consists of meat. I believe Ramana Maharshi was a vegetarian. However, I did look up at some point he did share that at a certain point in the process it doesn't make a difference anymore whether you're eating meat or not. The energy, the fire of Kundalini is just burning so bright that you throw anything in it, it's going to get burned up and used. Eckhart Tolle eats meat, for example. The Dalai Lama eats meat. The Tibetan Buddhists up in the mountains in the cold, there's not so easy to grow a lot of vegetables, so they eat meat. And very advanced people on the path. So meat can help at times if you're called to it. If you're not called to it, no problem. So there's been periods on my journey where I was called to cut out all animal products. At a certain point, I was called to eat nothing but meat. The Kundalini still was, making use of what the food that I was giving. So how do we then tune in? So one thing that I like to do is just imagine yourself eating something. Say you're at a restaurant, you're looking at the menu. Imagine, what would it be like if I ate this? Just tune in and imagine yourself eating that. How does that feel in your body? Is it a yes or is it a no? And like that, you can sort of tune in and use your intuition to guide you through, mindful eating. You can use that as well for portions. But ultimately, if you open up to this inner wisdom and tune in and listen, you can really, find your way around a buffet quite easily. You can also look into ideas of intuitive eating, mindful eating. These are some approaches to eating that aren't strict, militant diets and whatnot. It's more of an organic way of eating. If you look at children, they're very intuitive when they come to eating. They just eat what they feel called to, and generally speaking, it's what's best for their body. We are all children. We all have this ability. It's still there. It just gets, of course, buried under all sorts of, cultural indoctrination, family members, parents telling us, eat this, eat that, whatever. But yeah, these are some ideas to consider. Hope that's helpful for you.